Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's try to understand that there's no one to blame. Welcome back, everybody, to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. I appreciate you joining me today. So today's going to be a little bit of a tough love scenario because I think it is a good reminder occasionally, because we can so often find ourselves falling back into old habits, into old ways that maybe at one point we had an awakening from, that it wasn't serving us, but just by pure muscle memory or the environment that we put ourselves in, the friends that we hang around in, the family that we keep tabs with, we end up falling back into these old habit patterns. And I think this will be a great reminder for you if you are in this type of situation. And there are a couple questions that I want to ask to kind of get your mind flowing a little bit in that self-analysis mode, as I so often ask you to do, in order to hopefully light up some areas in your life that maybe need a change, that maybe need a little tweak, that maybe need a little mindset adjustment in to make a better you. And one of those, or a couple of those questions are, looking at your life, and maybe you don't live in the house of your dreams right now. Maybe you're living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment in a not so nice of a neighborhood. You don't have whatever your ideal of a house, of a place to live is. Maybe you don't have that right now. Maybe you don't have a bank account that you want. Can anyone raise your hand and say, yeah, it's meeting my needs, maybe. It's sufficient, but it's not what I want. It's not going to sustain me, certainly, for long term or into retirement or my family. It's not going to create generational wealth. Does anyone have, a bank account maybe that they don't want? Or maybe you don't have the woman or the man of your dreams by your side. Maybe you've got no one. Maybe you've been searching and you're just not able to find that compatible partner. Or maybe you're dating somebody right now that you're kind of getting those tingly feelings of like, maybe this isn't the right person for me long term. We're not aligned. We don't have the same type of goals. We don't have the same type of interest long term. You just don't have the man or the woman of your dreams right by your side right now. Or maybe, and this, I was absolutely in this category at one point in my life, and I'm still struggling a little bit with it. Maybe you're kind of wicked out of shape. Maybe you can't make it up a flight of stairs without wheezing like you've been smoking a 12-pack of carton cigarettes. Maybe you've, whether it be because of the pandemic lockdowns and lack of, being able to go to the gym, whatever the thing is that surrounds it, getting older and not adjusting your diet to match your decreased metabolism or decreased, more sedentary life, decreased activity levels. And maybe you've, packed on those couple ever extra inches or pounds around the waist or the hips or wherever that is for you. And you noticed significant decrease in your activity level and your ability to maybe even keep up with your kids as they're wanting to run around and be young kids. Maybe you live in a neighborhood you don't necessarily feel safe in. Maybe just due to the circumstances of what matches your bank account and your ability to produce, you had to make some choices of where you live. And maybe something has happened or it wasn't originally like that, but maybe the neighborhood is declining rather than ascending in its safety, in its, I don't know how you would say it, in its just overall feeling of that neighborhood, of a community, versus someplace that maybe you shouldn't be. And maybe as a larger aspect, you live in a community that you don't find enjoyment in, a community that you really don't feel a part of. You're not able to put down roots, and you really feel like, man, I belong over here with these other type of people, or I belong in this type of community that values these things. But you're just unable to do that. Maybe lack of funds, maybe family ties, whatever the thing is. But as you think through all these different scenarios, and this is certainly not all inclusive, there are lots of things that go through my brain of, man, I think I could do better here. I think I'm settling in this area of my life. I think I'm just accepting the circumstances as they're being handed to me, right? The classic, play the hand that you're dealt instead of trying to get a redeal. Shuffle those cards up, change them. Right? Life is not a poker game dictated by all these rules and you have to just accept whatever it is that comes your way. The fortunate part is we get to kind of cheat a little bit, and that we get to help dictate the cards that were dealt to a degree. And my question to you is, are you taking advantage of that opportunity to do so? Because all those things have something in common when we settle, when we just accept. And that is, one, obviously our mindset, but two, our lack of prioritization of our time and energy. Because if you're honest with yourself, you may have answered like, man, I don't have the house of my dreams. I don't have the bank account I want. I don't have the future partner that I'm dreaming of. I don't live in a community that I enjoy or feel safe in. All those things. But on the flip side, maybe you're sitting in front of your TV every night. Maybe you're watching that football game, which cool, you've got your favorite team. You want to support them, show that pride. That's part of your community or what you grew up with. But then that creeps into, all right, so I watched the Sunday game. Now I watched the second Sunday game. Oh, wait, now there's Sunday night game, so I got to watch that. Oh, wait, no, Monday night, got to watch that. Oh, Thursday, they started Thursday night. Oh, cool, yep, got to watch that. Oh, college ball, absolutely. Got to watch all day Saturday. What's going on with college? Oh, man, and the World Series is coming up or just took place. So I got to watch all 40 games of whatever that is every other night. Oh, man, the World Cup. Oh, man, I don't really play or enjoy soccer, but yeah, I got to watch the World Cup, man. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on with that. And every night is something that takes away your intentions, that takes away your attention to be able to create the life that you want. Because you're so distracted by the things that distract people that don't have goals, that distract people that don't have purpose. Because that's what those things are. They're a way to escape. They're a way, no different than my previous podcast, I talk about vacations. They're a way to check out mentally and maybe even emotionally, maybe even physically, from your life, to sit down and watch other people experience life, whether it be athletes or actors or talk show hosts or anything of that nature that's on TV. And, I'm kind of picking on TV, but this can expand to all kinds of other things. But the reality is, as maybe you have guessed where I'm going with this, you have no one to blame but yourself. We can't sit there and go, well, this is how my family, I grew up watching football games and that's how we connected and all this and that and that. Well, cool. But now you live 3 states away from your family. So why, that's not the reason anymore. Why are you now still watching, 20 hours worth of football games every week? When you could be starting something, you could be doing some sort of self-improvement, taking a class at your local community college, the classic adult education, learning a new language, taking a finance class if you don't know anything about finances, improving yourself in some manner, reading a book. Oh my goodness, imagine that, reading a book on your off time instead of watching whatever latest reality TV show happens to come on. Like, oh, I got to see what happens on such and such drama island. Or some Jersey Shore, right? Or, the Real Housewives of pick a city. There's like 40 of them now. My point being is, if you are finding yourself answering, man, I don't have this. I don't have this. Man, it would be nice to be able to do this. Man, it'd be nice to be able to do that. And yet at the same time, you get home from your job, from your work, whatever that may be, whether you're an employee, a business owner, or a leader, and you sit down and it's just your opportunity to check out time and time and time again. And I'm not advising against that relaxed time, that recharge time. But I am advising you against wasting your time. Wasting hours upon days, upon weeks, upon years of your life watching, participating in things that ultimately don't matter, especially to your long-term success. And this becomes a matter of perspective when you start trading the inconsequential things that have no lasting meaning. Presumably, you're not an owner of the Cleveland Browns. Presumably, you're not a player on the Dutch national soccer team, football team. And yet you're some sort of spectator of these events. And what is it getting you? Right? You're down at the local bar cheering on some random foreign country's soccer team. score one goal. Ooh, 1-0. It was an amazing game. Oh my gosh. You just wasted $50 and 3 hours of your life when you could have taken that $50 and bought a course, taught yourself something, improved your workplace, invested it in advertising if you're a business owner. Like, there's all kinds of things you can do to better yourself, better your business, better your position, better your future, and thus your family's future, if that is what is important to you. So I wanted to, a little bit of tough love, because I found absolutely, I used to be a hardcore Seattle Seahawks fan because that's how I grew up. I can remember going down to, my mom and dad when I was a young boy, going down to my grandparents' house and watching my grandfather screaming at his TV at the Seattle Seahawks back in the early 80s and late 80s. And, well, probably not so much into the 90s. I think I'd stopped by then as I became a teenager. But it was part of who I was. I grew up a Seattle Seahawks fan, and I carried that with me through a lot of my young adulthood until one day I kind of go, man, what is this getting me? Like, here I am with my wife, and then even at the time when the boys were born, my young children, and I'm wasting 2 hours of my life watching this team that, okay, cool if they win, awesome if they lose, whatever. But then it morphed into, well, now I got to watch the Sunday night game because this is kind of our ritual. This is my relaxed time. And I wasted so many years of my prime life in my 20s and 30s where I could have been forming a better and stronger connection with my wife. I could have been developing myself in my profession at the time in the Air Force to be an even better, or be an actual good officer. There's so many missed opportunities that I wish I had that time back, but now that I've kind of woken up to that fact of all that wasted time, it wakens you up to other areas where you're like, okay, how is this serving me? I'm using this for a purpose. That is my relaxed time, but it's for a reason, for a purpose, not just to check out and again, that elephant dart to the face. So take a real strong look at your situation, your goals, where you're at in the progress towards those goals, and maybe some things that you can give up, maybe some things that you need to walk away from that aren't serving you in those goals. Or just decide, what is the priority? Is the priority wearing that football jersey and being recognized in your town as a hardcore Seahawks fan? Putting the sticker on your car, getting the seats at the football game, cheering on your team, right? Having that experience. Or is the priority making yourself so amazing in your community and your business that you become the go-to? You become the authority of your business and your industry and your community. And you do that by getting better every single day and taking advantage of those moments and that time that you're otherwise spent wasted. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope you find a little bit of encouragement in this. I hope you're seeing the advantage of it. Yes, absolutely, it sucked because for me, being a Seahawks fan, that was part of my identity. That's kind of how I identified myself. Kale Houser, I was in the Air Force and I'm a Seahawks fan, right? There's kind of like the two major things. And I'm married and eventually was a father. And to walk away from that, similar to walking away from the Air Force, was a hardcore, not identity crisis, but a reanalysis of who Kale Houser is and a reinventing to a degree of who Kale Houser is and how he identifies himself and finds value in himself. Because ultimately, whether the Seahawks won or lost on the 1 yard line in the Super Bowl or never made it to the playoffs, made a lick of difference to the life of Kale Houser. Imagine that. And I would imagine if you think about those types of areas, if you were that type of person, it probably matter a lick of difference to you as well. So think about that. Take time to analyze, take time to prioritize. If you need help with that, please reach out, Kale at Kale Houser Leadership. We got some exciting things coming up for the channel. Make sure you stay tuned, subscribe, comment, like, and share is fantastic. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a fantastic day, no matter where you're at in the world. Bye.